everyone. Klaudia Tirico, editor of Demand Gen Report here, and I'm back with another episode of CXO Conversations. With me today, I have Alon Alroy, who is the co-founder and CMO of Bizzabo. Alon, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It's so great to meet you.
It's so great to meet you too, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's honestly my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm excited to chat because Bizzabo is one of the leading event success platforms out there. And, events have been a little different lately, obviously. So I'm really excited to discuss the future of events and virtual and hybrid and all that fun stuff. So, given your industry and obviously that sudden pause of physical events last year, how did you and your team work to pivot among all of the, the craziness that was going on? What moves did you have to make to really help your customers who I'm sure were kind of scrambling to figure out this new normal with, so many people relying on events for their demand generation strategies. So tell me about that. What kind of challenges were you facing and how did you really help your customers there during this time?
I'll start by saying that you are right. It has been a very interesting year. I'll call it that. And I really miss live events. We're a company that we started Bizzabo to honestly celebrate those gatherings, to make events more impactful and rewarding because we believe that events are magical. And when on the second week of March, we got thousands of calls and emails from our customers saying that they canceled all of their events, and we had thousands of events planned on our platform. That was a shock, but it also required us to understand and be very, very decisive that we need to take action. We took two very bold and fast decisions, I would say. The first one is that we need to stay relevant and we need to be there for our customers and for the industry. As mentioned, we heard about so many teams who either lost their jobs or were just honestly so scared. Like, what will they do? They had a career in events for 20 years and suddenly there are just no events, no venues, no anything. The first thing we did is, in a way, decided that we're not going to wait for anyone else. We're going to take action. We're going to lead. And within 3 weeks, we launched to the market a virtual solution. Now, Bizzabo is an end-to-end event success platform, and we provide everything you need to manage and promote and measure your event. We've evolved our existing platform to support virtual events before virtual events were a thing. Like, I know now every day everyone here is getting invitations for dozens of virtual events, but March 2020, exactly last year, there were some there were a lot of webinars, but there were not events, and most people have not attended the virtual event, and most people have not ran a virtual event. On March 22nd, if I remember correctly, we already released that while launching a solution, honestly, before we knew that virtual events became a thing. So first, we reached out to our customers. We told them that we are there for you. We also pivoted our content strategy. Bizzabo's blog gets hundreds of thousands of visitors every month by the industry, and we shifted all of our content to be very educational and to really guide everyone through that disruption. And we had to learn a lot ourselves. That was not our expertise. The second decision we did is related to our employees. We, as a startup, we were on an amazing momentum before the pandemic. We were around 150 people, fast growing, and we decided that we need to prepare for the worst. We unfortunately had to put on temporary leave around 25% of Bizzaboers. That's how we call them. That was, as an entrepreneur and a co-founder, that was honestly the most difficult month of my career because we have this very, very tight team and family. And we did it in the most humane way possible. We told them that we're going to do everything we can to bring them back. And there is like one anecdotal moment I remember that the salesperson told me that from now on, they're not going to sell to hit quota, they're going to sell to bring back their friends. And fast forward 2 months after we saw that we are onto something, we are able to provide a lot of value and sales are going up. So during May, we actually brought everyone back. And from a time we were 110 people, early May, we are now 250 people. And every 2 weeks, there's like a new onboarding class of amazing new people joining. And I think this is just a sign of what's going on in the industry. There is a lot of resilience, a lot of better together, and a lot of pain as well. But that pain was, in a way, a catalyst for a wave of innovation and event technology. So I'm very, very excited about the future.
Wow, that's awesome. That story is just amazing. The fact that, your salespeople wanted to sell just to get their, coworkers back, and the fact that you have built such an awesome team ever since, that's just awesome. And you also recently partnered with the Adobe Exchange Partner Program, right? So what was the reasoning behind that? How do these partnerships really even work in general? So tell me a little bit about that.
Events, first, in my mind, events were always a very impactful marketing activity. I think you guys run amazing events as well, so I do not need to convince you. But, and I think in the future, every marketer will become an event marketer because more events are becoming the most important marketing channel. They were always, by the way, the biggest one in terms of budgets. Having said that, it was not a skill or a discipline that every marketer actually had. And I think the future, with the introduction of virtual events and the fact that they are not going away, it is the best engagement you can have with your pipeline, with the prospects, with your customers. And for that reason, we want to get way closer to marketers. And there is no better company to do that with than Adobe, who is just a marketing masters. And that's why we decided to join the program. And based on our very advanced marketer integration and so on, to just get closer to the team and provide more value to marketers and educate them about the future. So that was what's behind it. And it's already is showing actually a lot of success.
Awesome. And definitely, in terms of educating customers far and wide, a lot of people are currently starting to really think about or question the future of events. And I'm hearing a lot of talks about this hybrid model. And it's honestly one of my favorite conversations to have. I love to hear from different marketers on what they believe is that ideal hybrid model, because not everybody, it's like, okay, so do we have a physical event? And then do we have a virtual component? How does that work? So it's just fascinating to me. So what's your perspective on that? What does that hybrid model look like?
I think it is a great question. And the real answer is that no one really knows and no one has cracked it yet. Because, yes, like we ran some hybrid events, I'll be very transparent, but the world has not. Meaning, there were a few hybrid events throughout the world, but we don't have enough data to know what it would work. We have many assumptions. I'll share with you my definition for how I view a hybrid event. I think it's all about participation, it's all about integration, and it's all about collaboration. Historically, and I hear people say that we've been running hybrid events for years, and they just refer to a live event with a live stream. And that, in my mind, is not a hybrid event. It's just a live event with a live stream because you have a large remote audience that is not really participating. They're just watching, they're very reactive. And I think what the future holds for us, and this is the hybrid model, is taking advantage of the virtual audience and the fact that you can actually take part at an event without physically attending. And I think the technologies that the market is now developing and are allowing actually that participation. A lot of engagement, interactions between virtual attendees virtual and on-site attendees. And I think it opens up a lot of opportunities for very creative sponsorship opportunities, to new ways of engaging. It really expands the reach for marketers. So it's going to be marketing heaven in a way, in terms of leads, in terms of reach, in terms of cost. It's not like hybrid events will not be costly, by the way. They will be costly, though they may even be more costly than just a regular event. But the reward is going to be very, very high. Now, I think that in the future, we're not going to call them hybrid events because we're just going to call them events. Because
Mm.
professional events will just be hybrid. We're going to have several types, but it's not going to be a thing because that's just this is the future, and professional events are now being redefined.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, just speaking about our own event, we had almost double, if not over double, the amount of registrants and attendees on our virtual events compared to our physical events, and people from all over the world, not necessarily just
Yeah,
from the States and things like that. So that is definitely something that needs to kind of stick around for many companies. And I think that's awesome. Can you share, I mean, I'm sure you have helped your customers create some amazing virtual events this past year. Can you share any examples or specific use cases or any that specifically like stand out to you? And tell me a little bit about what kind of made them so successful and how they differentiated from all of the other virtual events that were going on this year.
sure. And honestly, we've seen amazing things from our customers, and we were so proud and humbled that they were able to leverage our platform and the fact that we took part in those amazing experiences that they created, from watching an organization like Teach for America becoming a still staying relevant and being very accessible to support that very unique mission that they have to make education accessible to tens of thousands of students, to City of Hope, that were able to really connect between patients and donors and leveraging a virtual event to actually do that, to supporting companies like Amazon, um, who had to recruit hundreds of thousands of new employees, and they did so with a virtual career day on top of our platform that probably was one of the biggest virtual events ever made, of 250,000 registrations and 1 million viewers. And that scale, and to see the teams actually go through that change into the unknown, because no one actually had that type of experience, and excelling and doing it together and constantly learning, it was truly inspiring. And from watching a customer like DJI, like a drone company that had these amazing trade shows, is now leveraging Bizzabo to really bring that community together and celebrate their innovation. So most of them do miss to go back to in person, but really found an opportunity to expand the reach, as you said before, and be super creative. So it's going to stay. And again, the future is a hybrid. And we have, by the way, from a survey, like 72% of Fortune 1000 companies say that the future of their event is hybrid. So we're very confident that the world will go back to in person, and that events will never be the same. They're going to be better, actually.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see how it all plays out. And I'm very eager to get on a plane and go to an event and just engage with so many people. Speaking of engagement, I know, we do a ton of surveys about it, and I'm sure you have extensive knowledge and insights and data about it. But the whole networking within a virtual setting, obviously, it could be a challenge. I mean, it was definitely a challenge for us to try to figure out unique ways to get people to engage with each other and talk to sponsors and talk to each other and things like that. Any specific examples of how some of your clients have really, kind of expanded and enhanced the networking opportunities within a virtual event?
What we saw work very, very well is we call it group meetings or micro communities. People are really thirsty for interaction and for knowledge. We saw that the concept of a group meeting and small discussion meetings are actually more impactful than one-on-ones, specifically in the past year. Like one-on-one interaction is definitely something that we value, and at the end, it's that connection and the virtual handshake. Having said that, in terms of the format that we saw the most success is actually those roundtables, and the fact that we were able to take a keynote and then split it into 20 different breakout rooms managed by a moderator, and people told us that the best networking opportunities actually took place when they were part of a group and a discussion, and then they were able to translate that into one-on-one interactions. And I do think that that format of a micro community within an event around the topic, around the session, around a shared interest is something that we're going to see more and more of.
I love that. Yeah, and I definitely agree. We definitely saw a lot of great engagement and feedback from our attendees, around any of the smaller meetings. So when we say small, what do you think is that sweet spot of a number where so people could actually speak and have their voices heard and their questions answered?
Probably up to 20. That would be my recommendation if you want to really facilitate interaction and to have attendees be proactive and not just in listening mode. The number that above it, it's more like, okay, there are speakers and I'm just an attendee, it's probably 20.
Good. Awesome. All right. Well, let's kind of shift things over to measurement. Obviously, we've got to show that our virtual events, physical events, hybrid events are working. Can you share any best practices there? What should marketers be really focused on in terms of measuring their virtual events and then eventually their hybrid events?
Yeah, and I think it's a very, very important question. And we can't say that we call Bizzabo an event success platform because at the end we drive business outcomes. And we take a very data-driven approach to events. And one of the issues that we see is that people constantly focus on registration. How many registration did I have, or how many people showed up, and how many people actually attended the sessions? And I try to work with these customers to think, well, let's go back. Why are you running the event? And then we're starting to get into, well, I need to create the pipeline. I need to get close to our customers. And then, because in terms of metrics these days, you can measure many, many things. Session duration and attendee engagement and so on and so on. In terms of what are the key things to measure, it really depends on your business outcomes. And I see the more advanced marketers measure the impact on pipeline, the impact on retention, how much revenue is in the room in terms of ARR. So there are differences between the event success as a whole. How do we measure attendee engagement? How do we measure brand and chatter and so on? And we have KPIs for each of those. But again, the one maybe in the short time we have metrics that I'll share are those related to business outcomes to actually prove the event impact on the business. And that is like the event ROI or event ROE, return on event. And it differs between one event to another, depending on your business objective.
Definitely. That's awesome. I mean, measurement is always so difficult, but then at the end of the day, you get all that awesome data, and then you could just enhance the event for the next time and all that stuff. That's awesome. I'm going to shift gears once again and just chat about, you and your community, I guess. So the title of this series is CXO Conversations. So I always like to ask, what types of conversations are you having with other marketing leaders in the industry? What are some key challenges or questions that arise, and how are stress levels kind of working right now? I mean, we're in a new year, so I'm sure there's still some, there's some positivity, but there's still some uncertainty. So I'd love to hear what you're hearing from your peers and colleagues and other marketing leaders.
Naturally, I talk a lot about events and how to make them better and how to prove their impact. But I also talk a lot about people. I think that specifically now where we all work remotely, relationships are becoming flat. People swipe each other back and forth. That's why by the way, we're big believers at events, because we actually bring people together. So I talk a lot about the challenges of growth, the challenges related to maintaining and evolving company culture in a hybrid era, in a remote era, because I think that also as marketers, our responsibility is, and again, and before I'm a marketer, I'm like the co-founder of the company. So I think the responsibility is to constantly take care of our people, help them evolve in this crazy environment. And I like to brainstorm with marketers on how did they actually survive a hyper growth time while taking care of their people first, of their customer first, and making sure that that unique brand is being communicated to the world and how to go about it. So a lot of it now is about hyper growth, about brand, about events, and about adapting to change in a very positive way and being grateful for what we
Absolutely.
have, I guess. So that's the type of conversations I'm having.
Yeah, and that's great. And also, I mean, at the end of the day, taking that human level type of approach, it's really important, even for marketers. You know, you have to remember that, you know, you're not marketing to companies or specific brands or logos. You're marketing to real people. So having that connection, whether it's, you know, internal or external, is definitely important for sure. So what's next for Bizzabo? What do you guys have planned for 2021?
A lot. We have a very, very big mission around us. And I mentioned earlier that the industry has been disrupted and events will never be the same. And we think that as an industry leader, it's our responsibility to help the industry to redefine professional events, redefine those experiences, and to guide and demonstrate and lead the conversation. I know it's a lot of a lot of buzzwords, but this is actually what we're doing. We believe that there is a huge opportunity. There are more and more events in the world because of the virtual era. When we go back to in person, people will need a lot of guidance on how to do that, and we plan to be there and guide them. And again, lead the way and provide all of the technology and products to make sure that we can all go back to in person, enjoy the hybrid momentum, and provide more impactful and rewarding moments. And we have a very clear product strategy and go to market strategy on how to do that. And it was just validated by the way, Forrester, who did their first ever Forrester Wave on the event management and marketing software. So I'm very proud to announce that that they selected Bizzabo as a leader, and they do that. They did that now because they understand that people need guidance in terms of looking at the future and deciding how to approach events. And that was a very interesting experience for us. We are trying to be there for our customers and for our employees and to do the best we can.
Awesome. That's great. And congratulations on the Forrester Wave. That's really exciting news.
Thank you.
Well, I can't wait to see what else you guys come up with for the rest of the year and all the successes of your customers. So I look forward to seeing all that play out. Alon, this has been a really awesome conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And thank you to everybody watching for checking out this episode of CXO Conversations. As always, we'll be back for more, so I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Stay well.